This week on the Spike and Jones podcast.
Welcome to the Spike and Jones podcast. You ever watch something that you say, oh my God, there's an hour and a half of my life I'll never get back? I promise you that if you listen to this podcast, I'll give you that hour and a half back.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Spike and Jones.
How are you, man?
I'm great. I am a little less fat today.
Are you?
Yeah.
How'd you get it out?
I
Rectally?
plucked nose hair.
Oh, that's a lot of weight.
Well, when you do that,
You cry.
You cry.
Yeah, you lose water is heavy. Yeah.
And then people are like, you look really, really lean. I'm like, yeah, I got to drink it out. And so
That's how great actors fake a sad scene. They doink a nose hair.
I've heard that. I've heard that.
No,
I've heard that
really?
though. Yeah. I mean, obviously people used whatever that stuff is, the fake tears for a long time, glycerin or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
It's if somebody told me that, in fact, it was funny. I had to take my wife to the emergency room this week. Nothing major. But they gave her a saline.
You said it was funny. It's funny. I had to take my wife to the emergency room.
Well, bitch should have made me a sandwich. Sorry. Please cut that.
No, I'm so leaving that.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Well, then we got to start over because this is juicy.
Okay. So anyway, Melissa had a migraine. I took her to the hospital to get some relief. She tried for 2 days to get through it and couldn't. They put her in a saline drip and then gave her a couple injections of some narcotic pain reliever. But she figured out, and they told her that you can use, in a pinch, you can use contact solution as saline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
It does make sense.
I mean, it is a saline.
I don't know when in my life I want to have to give someone a saline drip in the field. But you never know. The way we're fucking with North Korea, who knows what medical emergencies I may have to attend to? Who knows? I have to learn how to turn off my gas and my water.
I've been thinking about North Korea a lot.
Everyone's been thinking. I have to, for the first time in my life, actually worry about a nuclear strike.
Yeah.
We live in Seattle.
Yeah.
We are the ones, the West Coast, we're the ones who have to worry.
Don't you think, though, that if they were doing it, and granted, they're just dumbass enough to, or maybe crazy enough.
They're stupid and egotistical enough, both of them, to not back down.
But maybe
it's a game of chicken with two idiots who will actually hit each other.
But wouldn't you think, and granted, this is a great solution, but wouldn't you think they would just go after Alaska first? It's a lot closer, a lot easier to guarantee a hit.
I think what they'll do is they'll go after everything at once and hope one of them hits so they can declare victory.
Okay.
That's honestly how I think they'll play it.
Right.
I think they'll shoot everything they got at every city on the West Coast, and if one of them hits, they win.
Yeah. But they win for 5 seconds.
Doesn't matter to me. I won't be around for the
country dies.
I won't be around for the 10th second. What do I give a fuck what happens after 5?
Well, that's true. I'll be fine because I have the shield of the foothills. I'll die of radiation sickness in a year.
Yeah, well, I'll melt.
You'll actually just
my kids. I really have to think about that because 200,000 idiots in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Ohio decided that this was a better choice than someone with an email server in her closet at home.
Oh, that's so great.
That's what it is.
All my friends in Wisconsin right now are just like, God damn right it is.
Fuck, well, okay. I hope you're happy.
I'm not laughing.
No, I know. We haven't talked about this in a while, and that's been good, but
it's time. We're back.
I mean, come on. We're literally having to worry about the threat of nuclear war because of this fucking idiot. Because he likes to fucking talk a mean game, and that's all he knows how to do is bluster up. And everything's got, whether it's the greatest tax cut of all time, or the greatest healthcare plan of all time, or the greatest wall of all time, or the greatest fucking Navy of all time. It can't just be a good tax plan that will help people. Yeah. It's got to be the greatest of all fucking time.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Your dick
it's
only
all
looks
hyperbole all
your
day
dick
long.
only looks big because you've got tiny fucking hands. Okay, it's probably not even a normal sized dick, but when you use little baby doll hands, it looks huge. That's why clown porn is so good, because your dick looks so big in their little hands. It's been pent up, brother. It's okay. It's been pent up.
I saw you this morning. I'm like, what's wrong with you? You're like, my stomach, and I realized, no, it's Trump.
No, and maybe that's I'm a guy that can go into my fridge and grab anything and eat it and be fine.
Okay.
I can eat some old shit.
So you have an iron stomach.
I have an iron fucking stomach. And I had a really good cheeseburger from a nice restaurant yesterday. I didn't drive through and get a bag of dicks. I went to a nice restaurant and ordered a nice cheeseburger.
Yeah.
You know, I
Like
figured,
Daniel's or something?
Yeah. Okay. It was a local joint, but they were a great restaurant with a great chef, and the guy knew what he was doing. I made sure it was medium well because I don't like a pink cheeseburger. Fuck that noise. And middle of the night, I wake up and vomiting. You know, not. But
you
when
vomited
you
last
no, in my mouth, at that little reflux that kicked up to wake me up.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm snacking on a handful of Tums and drinking water to get back to bed. And I woke up again at 4 with the same stomach trouble.
Do you have acid reflux?
I usually don't.
You've lost a lot of weight, so that should help.
It does, and and I don't snore anymore.
Okay.
And I don't think I have sleep apnea. I think I sleep through the night.
Okay. You don't hold your breath. You've never woken yourself up to having a dream of drowning or anything like that?
I had, not of drowning, but I had in the past, but before I lost the weight. And so I think it really is, watching what's going on in the world, watching this clam dip who's ill-equipped, ill-prepared, unqualified.
Have you noticed how many people aren't talking about it anymore? All of a sudden,
we're done.
We're
We're sick.
We're just numb.
We're numb. That's it. We're numb. It's an avalanche. It's a shit avalanche. And the more you open your mouth, the more shit gets in your mouth.
You're like,
and it doesn't stop.
Creamy good.
It doesn't stop. And what's it going to take?
Yeah.
I fucking
You're clearly upset too.
He's
'Cause I'm laughing over here.
I know.
I'm laughing at your anger.
I know, and I don't mean to get political, but I mean, Jesus Christ,
okay.
people. How does anybody defend this clown?
Well, see, that's
Anybody.
the thing. That's the thing, right? I mean, you and I have bantered back and forth on this for a long time now, way before the election was right. The results were in. And I've always said I just want whoever wins, right, to lead the country. But yeah, you look at this, and I mean, look, whether I wanted Trump or not, which isn't the case, I didn't vote for him. I didn't want him as president, although I was not a Hillary fan, as I had stated clearly before. I still wanted whoever was going to win to, again, to lead the nation, to be successful. Well, and I don't understand. There's got to be my guy won, and I don't care if he screws up. At least he's going to take back what I want for me. Whatever that means. That's what it seems to be the argument. Well, your guy screwed us for 8 years, so now we're going to screw you. Hope you like it. There's never any, again, coming to the middle or
statesmanship's dead.
It drives me crazy.
It was vilified. Statesmanship was driven into the ground. When compromise became a sign of weakness, and was primated out of existence, and extreme became the norm.
But that would probably be like 56, wouldn't it? I mean, wouldn't it be around the Eisenhower years when that
compromise died?
Yeah, because Kennedy clearly polarized the nation. No, Kennedy
polarized the nation.
He was loved and despised.
Well, yeah, except that Reagan got shit done.
It was a different kind of.
It was, but compromise was still king.
Americana though was there. I mean, there was a lot of chest bumping and chest thumping, and to me the. What would it be? The World War II era soldiers, if you will, like my grandfather's age, right? They were in their 60s when Reagan came to power,
right? And
so they were, well, honestly, I hate to say it, they were not that far away from where we are,
right?
Where they were driving the nation, and yet there was a lot of great guys. So even if you didn't necessarily like Reagan, you could have appreciated sort of the general populace. The leaders of the general populace were decent guys who had fought for a nation, who had done something great.
Well, they call it the greatest generation.
Right.
And it was also the highest tax bracket.
Yep.
The most social programs.
Yeah.
And the largest growth of middle class America.
Our taxes are so low right now compared to back then.
That's what the Make America Great Again. Okay, well then, everything you're proposing is what made America fucked. You want to make America great again? Go to a 75% tax bracket on corporations. Start a whole bunch of social programs. Give away VA loans.
True.
I mean, they're idiots. They bought this con man, this con job. And it started with Reagan. Yeah. He's the one that just destroyed a middle class.
The inverse
trickle down economics.
Always the way it works. It never works the way public sentiment actually wants it to go. Well, it's always the inverse.
It infuriates me that 98% of Trump voters think he's doing a good job and would vote for him again. Today,
well,
a poll just came out.
Faith.
A poll just came out.
Yeah.
Okay, how the fuck can you think that 90% of you think he's doing a great job?
I think most people don't. I think they just feel like they have to say it. It's a
Trump
it's
voters
eating craw. They don't want to eat. I really do think that. I'm not saying all of them.
No,
maybe even the majority. I bet you half of them. Sadly, seriously, man, most people just want to go. Yeah, fuck that nigger.
Just give him
I'm
time.
telling you. Yeah, fuck that. That's what they're saying.
Well,
they don't. They're just not saying it.
No, I hear you.
And they're not saying it on Facebook because God forbid everybody on Facebook has to tell the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just not saying it, and I don't know. I mean, we could talk about this forever.
Let's not.
We both just got sad.
I apologize for spitting out the poison, but I've been sitting on it for weeks.
So speaking of poison, your dog was crapping all over the yard and
I wish
the
it was
living
outside.
room. Okay. The last time we talked.
Yeah,
so
poor baby.
Did you get her food on track?
We did. I went to my vet and said, what have I done? They said, yeah, you can't mess with their tummies. They're not people. They can't have, Chinese one night and Italian the next and a steak from Thursday. Dogs have to have continuity. So
you can't have yogurt?
Nah, So I got her dialed in and she's been fabulous.
Oh, man.
She's just the greatest thing, My wife was out of town last weekend. A family friend passed away.
Did you run out of internet minutes?
The service was no. I got unlimited. The service was in Spokane. So Melissa literally left on Friday afternoon and got back on Sunday evening.
Okay.
I swear to God, this dog sat by the front door and stared at the front door for 2 days.
Wow.
And we walked her every day. We walked her 4 or 5 times a day. We played with her.
Knows
She knew mommy wasn't home. Mommy wasn't home, and she just sat by the front door and watched and waited. 2 dog beds in our house, one living room, one in my kids' room, and she slept by the front door.
Yeah.
Paws crossed, just looking.
That's funny. My wife, when it comes to food, or excuse me, with the animals, I always say that same thing, that they clearly love you. And she said, they don't love me more. They just recognize me as the food lady.
Well, I'm the food guy at home. Melissa won't open a can of dog food, makes her gag.
Interesting.
I'm the food guy, but Melissa's who she bonded with first day. That, when not to be going off on this, but it's better than Trump.
Go for it.
When we met her, Melissa, I think I told you, Melissa went to meet another dog.
Right.
And our dog, Earhart, had been there for less than a week.
Is that the name?
Earhart.
Oh, that's so great.
Darby picked the name before we ever met. She knew the name was going to be, and it fits this dog. She's perfect.
Great.
So Melissa's in there meeting a dog, the one that she went over to Peninsula to meet. And that's, talk about going to the animal shelter meant getting, in a ferry line for an hour, taking a ferry ride for 40 minutes.
Commitment.
It wasn't like popping down the street to see if there's a dog you like. She saw a dog on the internet. She's over there to meet the internet dog. And our dog is in her kennel yapping at her running mate because they picked up this pair of a male and female, and the male was a little bit older than the female, and they were strays running together, and the 2 dogs were talking back and forth in the kennel as Melissa tells me. I wasn't there, but Melissa tells a pretty good story. The dogs they're talking, they're barking back and forth, and as soon as Melissa walked by the dog, she just stopped and came over and at the gate and sat down on her and looked up at Melissa. And she's like, oh, okay. And they just bonded immediately. Wow. And, that evening I'm getting a text. We have to talk when we get home. I think we found our dog. And I told the story about the next day I went over and she was surgery. We had to go back again the following day and blah, 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 blah. But that's so her and mom bonded. It's not like that's who's got the can opener in her house.
Yeah.
She bonded with Melissa first and foremost.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Wow. I've only had one experience with a pound, and it wasn't a very good one.
Yeah.
2. Okay. First one, that was the one that died of parvo, I think.
Yeah.
Yay. Great story.
Scared the shit out of me.
But I decided, I don't know, I was bored one day and I was over in Bellevue, and that's where the Humane Society is there, and walked in, and there was this beautiful Malamute. And her name was Mandy, and I saw her, and she did the same thing. She walked right up to the the front of the cage and looked me in the eyes. And I wasn't really there to get a dog. I was just there to, I don't know. I wasn't even tire kicking. I was just curious, and I don't know, maybe. I mean, there's no reason to go unless you're thinking maybe. And I look at her, and she was just so beautiful, and she had those those blue eyes, and she just looked at me and just like penetrated my soul. And I thought, oh my gosh, I mean, I got, that's a great name. I can sing the song, the whole thing.
Yeah,
I know that song, and so I went home and told my wife, and this was in the late '90s, so this would have been kind of, well, it was kind of pre-internet. They weren't posting dogs on the web.
Right.
So you had a really good chance of the dog being there when you went back.
Yeah.
And so I told my wife, and she's like, maybe you should get the dog. Maybe we should do this. We should jump off the cliff. Let's get the dog. So I went back, and she had been euthanized. And it's not funny, but it was so heartbreaking, dude.
Oh, my God.
I walk in there, and I go, where's Mandy? And they're like, seriously? I mean, they did the whole, like, seriously, we just euthanized her like an hour ago.
You didn't call?
Well, I mean...
You'd have been like the governor. She'd have been in the room and the phone rings.
12:01. But I'm
so sorry to hear that.
Oh, it was such a bummer. And I mean, I went home, and my wife, I don't know if she was expecting me to bring the dog or not. But I just went home, and she goes, did you see Mandy again? Because she knew I was going to at least go look at her, like maybe talk myself into her. And then I just like started crying.
Yeah.
She was like, oh God, that's terrible.
Yeah, that's a shit show.
That's our only great experience.
Wow.
That was our better experience as a euthanized dog.
We'd gone to several shelters, trying to find the right dog. We were a couple years into it, trying to find a dog. So
right.
Yeah, we took our time, and we went to meet a different dog, and this dog met us. So it was kind of cool.
So what kind of dog were you originally looking at? Was it a specific kind of breed? I mean, like, we only want X breeds, or was it just any dog that was cute?
It's funny because I wanted a longer haired dog. I was hoping like for a border collie kind of dog. Yeah, it's the kind of dog I like.
Okay.
I like I don't like a short faced dog.
Okay.
For some reason, I don't know what it is, but I like a long snout in a dog.
That's cool.
I'm not sure what she was going to look at, to be honest with you. In fact, it's funny, when we went there, when they went back to they had a Plan B dog. There was a little border collie puppy there that they knew I would like, because if our dog wasn't there when they went back. But things worked out for the best of it.
So did you see the thing I posted on Facebook yesterday? You probably didn't, because I know you've been very busy and you're not exactly a Facebook master. But last night I got home, somewhat early afternoon, and so I had time to make dinner for myself ahead of everybody else because I was starving, and I'm on a different diet than my family. It just because I'm trying to lose weight, and my kids, are trying to grow up. They're not trying to lose weight.
Right, they're pounding
not on
up
protein powder diets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm home, and I'm cooking up my food, and I just kind of take it into the bedroom and turn on YouTube, because again, we don't have television. I'm just watching YouTube.
Right.
And there's one of those videos, the 10 movies you never watch twice.
Okay.
Right? For whatever reason, I was like, I'm curious, right? So I pull it on, and the first movie is Schindler's List. And I'm like, I've seen that like 6 times.
Really?
That was my first thing. That was the first movie.
Okay,
right?
well, that works for me. That's one movie I never want to see again.
Yeah. And then I don't remember what the second movie is, but the point is every one of those movies, all 10 of them, not only have I seen...
You've seen multiple times.
I've seen multiple times. I've recommended them all, and I probably thrive on them.
All of them?
Every one of them.
Wow. What else was on the list? I'm really curious.
Offbeat stuff like Audition, which is the Japanese movie about the man who sets up a fake audition to meet the girl of his dreams.
Right, you told me about that.
And then she goes about killing people.
Yeah.
Awesome. Dancer in the Dark, the one with Bjork, where she's it's very dark, and and they break it up with songs, but the reality is the movie's just this bleak, relentless. Hard Candy, about a guy who's trying to pick up 15-year-old girls to, because he's a terrible child molester. And then she turns the tables on him. It's stuff like that, just dark movies, And I have clearly, as we've talked many times, an affinity, towards the dark arts, so to speak. I don't know where I'm going with this outside of I clearly.
So you shared this on Facebook?
Well, I'd mentioned...
You came across it? And
I posted, hey, I just saw this video, and not only have I...
You confessed.
I've watched it, I recommend them, and I have great taste.
Wow.
And then a friend of mine asked me why, and I just was like, I don't know. I just thought it was kind of curious. But the thing is anybody that responded, none of them said, yeah, those are effed up movies. Yeah. They just said, like, oh, well, of course.
That's you.
Yeah, that's
We've known for a long time.
Rob.
Yeah, we've known. Nice to see you come around.
So Casino, let's go back to the head bashing scene in Casino, because you clearly like almost died that night. You died inside just
a little bit. Well, you were talking about the Pesci and his brother in the cornfield in the desert scene.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I told you I could have lived my entire life without ever seeing anything like that.
And Casino, Melissa, hold me.
I did. I sat on the couch and kind of was just like I needed a shower.
Pansy.
Okay, well,
no,
I worry about that kind of art needing to be shared. I mean, Casino's a cool story.
Yeah.
And I get the genre. I get the gangster genre.
Yeah.
We've all got a fascination with the bad boy. We've all got a fascination with the underworld and how these cultures that we aren't privy to. And it was a very accurately told story. I mean, it was theatrical, of course, and we're talking about Casino.
Yeah.
It was theatrical, of course, but I mean, that movie from that and Goodfellas.
Goodfellas is in the top 10.
Absolutely.
I've watched that movie like 90 times.
Absolutely.
So good.
But and I get it, and Joe Pesci, like that one guy at the bar where he,
shoots him in the foot.
Yeah, well, beats him and stabs him with the pen, and then he's in the trunk of the car. Man, can you borrow a knife? We had deer in the hoofs caught in the grill. Okay, I can do that. But just those beating those two to a pulp.
Yeah.
With aluminum baseball bats.
Yeah.
I mean, to a pulp.
Yeah.
And just it's like maybe what it was. It wasn't the violence. It was and I've just realized this. I'm having an epiphany. It wasn't the violence of it, because I've seen violent shit in movies. It was the brother. It was his little brother.
Okay.
And he's begging him to stop.
Like leaning out.
He's begging him to. They're begging him to stop. He's begging him to stop. Please, come on. Come on. He's dead. Stop. Just stop. That's what that is what crushed me.
Yeah.
That's what killed me inside.
Well, it'd be
was
like
the brother thing.
Watching. Yeah. I mean, anybody you love. You watch that movie and you're like, it's a movie. But then,
and
when
then
there's love involved.
Yeah. I mean, I went home and was like, oh my God, how? Why did that need to be shown? It wasn't. It did. I mean, I guess because to get that out of me, I guess that's what he was going for.
Yeah.
Right. Is Casino? Is that Scorsese?
Scorsese.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's all about visceral impact.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And he gets
and always has.
Always. Yeah. Mean Streets Up.
Absolutely.
Every movie he's ever done.
I mean, I just came home like
one movie hasn't done. Maybe Age of Innocence with Winona Ryder didn't have that sort of violence in it. But everything else is pretty harsh.
Yeah.
Straight on. Anything you've seen new lately that you want to share with anybody?
Or tell people to avoid like the plague?
Okay.
You bet I do.
So you were telling me you went to a theater by yourself.
Myself.
We didn't talk about that.
Okay. Here's what I do for you people who think I have an easy, skatey job. And I do. You're right.
Skatey. Is that a word?
So we had the opportunity to interview Chris Cornell. And we got stiffed, by the way. I'll sneak to the last page of the story. I had to go see a movie that he had done a song for the soundtrack. He had done like the score of this, not the score, but he recorded 2 songs for the movie. I never got a chance to really to lock down everything he had involved, but he wrote the song that played during the closing credits, and he wrote a piece that was the intro music, and it was beautiful music, and it was a beautiful movie. It was called The Promise.
Oh,
just came out this week.
Yeah,
stiffed at the box office. And I guess the guy's name is Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, great actor.
Great actor and he was great in it.
Yeah.
And and I don't know the actress's name, but she was great in it as well.
Yeah.
And Christian Bale was in it, and he was, and I love Christian Bale, but his part in the movie was okay, but it was a story about the Armenian genocide of World War I in Turkey.
And a love story in the Maya.
Who the fuck thought this was a good idea?
It's a love story inside of it.
Yeah, it's a love triangle basically.
Right. So the English Patient. Mm-hmm. But one war before.
Yeah.
So in other words, it sucked and was long and boring?
It was 2 hours plus, and it was just one misery after another misery after another misery. And I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. And I'm alone in this theater. I mean, alone. Because it was a press screening. And I went. And I had to see it first before they would give me the Chris Cornell interview. And then the fucker canceled the interview. And the movie came out and bombed. And then...
They're like, that's what you get!
I'm really okay, Karma. How you doing?
I don't think Chris really cares.
I don't think. Well, it's funny because I wanted to talk to him. I was just talking about the movie.
Yeah.
You know, I found out that his wife's family were affected by this Armenian genocide in Greece or in Turkey.
Is he still married to Susan Silver?
I don't think he is.
Okay.
Maybe, but
name drop in there.
Yeah. But I mean, it was funny when I left the theater. I'm like, wow, I wonder what pulled Chris to this project. Is Chris Armenian? I mean, look at he's got the look.
Looks like it.
He does, you know, yeah. And we were going to talk, you know, these kind of things. You talk minimally about the requirements of the movie type, and then we'll talk about his band and his bands, and Seattle, and PJ's induction to the Hall of Fame, and it's his take on the hall itself, and yada yada yada. There was a lot of things I wanted to talk about, but he stiffed me. My point being, so I'm walking out of the movie alone, you know, and I waited for the song to end because it was the credits started rolling after they fucking killed off, you know. You get to the end and they get rescued from the mountain. And it's a true story.
Oh.
You know, I mean, it's, of course, dramatized or, you know.
Dramatization.
Right. And it's theatrically enhanced. But they literally rescued, like, you know, a couple thousand Armenian refugees fleeing a Turkish army. The French Navy came up and rescued all these people who were about to be wiped out, and they wiped out like 1.5 million Armenians in that war, and Turkey still will not acknowledge it. Yeah. Turkey acknowledges that there were multiple deaths in local conflicts during World War I. They won't own up to the genocide, and they still to this day won't. I learned that in the closing. You know, the kind of movie that ends horribly.
The black screen.
They start putting up, you know, factoids about the story itself and what all played out, and to this day, yada yada. And I leave, and the girl who set up the screening and was setting up the interview goes, "So what'd you think?" That is not a happy movie. And she wrote it down. I'm like, well, I'm sorry. I said it was beautiful. Yeah. It was a beautifully shot movie. Yeah. It took place like in Istanbul in 1915, and it's gorgeous. I mean, it's a gorgeous film. Even when the lead actor goes back to his village to flee Istanbul because he's Armenian, and they're cleansing Armenians from Turkey, and it's a beautifully shot movie. It's just one depressing scene after another depressing turn, and Jesus Christ,
I'd probably love it.
Yeah, well, that's why we're talking about it, Mr. Black Side of Life. But you know, though,
seriously,
you know,
ooh, it's art. Ooh,
yeah. I mean, it was gorgeous, and the girl was beautiful.
Yeah,
you know, and the costuming was grand, and the scenery was. I mean, the scenes were
But
beautiful.
It's one of those everybody dies movies.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was a love triangle, and she died.
Yeah.
We both lost the woman we loved.
Great.
I'm like, who wrote that fucking line? Jesus Christ.
Did they really say that?
They really did.
Oh, that's
interesting. And one of the actors, we knew we had both lost the woman we loved.
Right.
Spoiler alert.
You loved her for different reasons.
They spent $100 million making the movie. It made $4 million on opening weekend. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
that's
video on demand.
Yeah, big time. Showtime in no time.
Big overseas market here.
Yep. it'll sell well in Armenia.
Oh, that's
and it's a shame.
That's a tough one.
You know, I'm sure it was a labor of love getting it made because of the subject matter. It was brilliantly acted, beautifully shot, and just, you know,
died on the vine.
A love triangle about the Armenian genocide.
I wonder why a movie like Schindler's List somehow works out better, if you will. Public sentiment, is it the fact that ultimately it was a story of triumph and redemption?
It was a story about we're just bloviating. It was a story of the best of humanity, winning.
The triumph of the human spirit.
Well, not just the human spirit, but and that is true. But to me, it's even more than that. It's the triumph of humanity itself succeeding against the worst possible odds and the worst possible scenario. Right. I mean, that was the worst moment in world history, clearly, easily.
Yeah.
And there was humanity triumphing over that.
Yeah.
Plus, it was brilliantly acted, beautifully shot.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's very
brilliantly
true.
acted.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that movie is just it's not relentlessly dark. I mean, it's amazing how Spielberg weaves moments of dark humor inside of dark scenes.
That's our only defense.
Yeah, there's that moment where the main German character played by Ray Fiennes he's got the gun to the guy's head and it won't go off.
Yeah.
You know, and then of course at the end of the movie when he's being hung, they can't kick the chair out from under.
Yeah.
So the idea of the bookend of the sort of sarcasm inside the death scenes. I've always wondered how something like that can be successful, and it's funny how you can just take one. It's a mood thing, right? Movies have to have a really consistent tone, direction, writing, lighting. It's amazing how they have to click on all cylinders. You can't say, well, the writing was great, blah, 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 blah. It won't work. You have to have all of it working at the same time.
And that's maybe why this movie, The Promise, left me so empty. It wasn't just that the subject matter was depressing. It was. Mm-hmm. But if Schindler's List worked, that's a subject matter that's depressing as fuck.
Yeah. But you've seen Children of Men.
I have.
Wouldn't you say that's the greatest depressing movie ever made? I think it is. It's my favorite dark, sad movie ever because it's full of hope and yet it's so sad.
It is. Well, it's such a cautionary tale. So bleak. Yeah. That's a great piece of work.
Yeah.
And who's that actor?
We said this last time.
I know. I can never remember the guy's name.
I can't either. That guy.
Yeah.
We both said that guy then too.
It's Cliff or something. It's got
and we both did the whole. And then he was in Shoot 'Em Up. I said that. And you were like, oh yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
I can never. And then
Clive
you did
Owen?
this, Clive Owen.
Clive Owen.
You did this.
I didn't look this time. And then we talked about Inside Man. Have you seen Inside Man?
Yeah.
That might be one of the greatest heist movies.
Yeah.
We're talking about movies. That's what cheers you up right there.
Yeah. It's funny. I know we were originally going to talk about something far different today, but I think it's just smart for us to let's just have a general conversation.
Yeah.
Because every once in a while we need to not deep six anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, if I can go, because when we were talking about what made Schindler's List work. And you had talked about the dark humor that Spielberg always has a mechanism, has a skill to bring that. Yeah, there is. Well, and I was going to say the humor is what gets us through. We laugh so we don't cry.
Right.
I read an article in The Atlantic this week about will satire save the Republic, and at the cover is Alec Baldwin getting in makeup to play Trump. Mm-hmm. And I think that's true. I mean, for SNL for what an absolute shit rag it is of when I say of late, I mean in recent years.
Sure.
The writing's abysmal on Saturday Night Live. Just abysmal.
I haven't watched it in a long time.
After the loss of Tina Fey and then Seth Meyers, the writing staff's just abysmal.
Tina Fey is the real deal.
She's absolutely, and so Seth Meyers. They were underappreciated during their time in the show.
Yeah.
There are some great things going on at Saturday Night Live, but for the most part, all the skits are lacking that last push.
Did you?
They all go a little too far. They all don't know when to quit. That's okay.
Did you see? So again, not having TV, the only thing I watch are the skits that they post on YouTube.
Yeah. And to be honest with you,
which are probably the best ones, right?
They do. They cherry pick, and I've tended. That's how I've been watching it of late. When I do actually sit in and make appointment viewing and stay up on Saturday night to watch SNL, I regret it.
Yeah, there was a skit recently, and all of a sudden I can't remember. Not Kumail Nanjiani, the guy who was on Parks and Rec, the Indian fellow.
Aziz Ansari.
Indian. Aziz. So Aziz was on the show.
Yeah.
And I guess they have some new cast this year.
Yeah.
And it was a young lady. And they play a couple in bed.
Yeah.
That is the greatest skit in so long.
It was really good.
I laughed so
she's
hard.
She's like Maria Villa something.
So great. I love when she's like, talk dirty to me. And she goes, I make more money than you, bitch.
Yeah. It was
like, no, don't tell me the truth.
That was pretty great. Yeah.
And then the whole, so why don't you just, let's be naughty. And she's like, okay, dad. Like, no, don't call me dad.
Yeah, they do have moments. They got their moments, but
okay,
but their numbers have been phenomenal given the political satire that they're afforded.
Sure, but that's only a check-in in the first 20 minutes of the show.
Right,
Once they get to the news, the fake news, everybody turns. Actually, they go to the musician, then they go to the fake news, and then they turn it off and go to something else or go to bed.
Right. That's what I do. Yeah, I do it too. When I do try to hang out, it's just like Jesus Christ.
I miss the days of Almost Live. Before Saturday Night Live, and I know a lot of people maybe don't feel the way I did.
You mean
but
before like 11:30?
Yeah, because Almost Live was on 11:30, and they pushed back Saturday Night Live to 12:05.
Right.
And I miss that. And granted, that was the late 90s when that was.
Yeah, almost like when they were hitting all cylinders.
Right, but Joel McHale was on the show then. Yep. I mean, there's some really
that
great
was a really
local
good show.
Humor.
Yep.
That's missed. So let's play movie tangent today.
Okay.
So you were talking about Inside Man. It makes me think of Jodie Foster.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your favorite Jodie Foster movie? Don't be obvious here.
Boy, I don't know. I mean, I love Panic Room. She was great in Panic Room.
I couldn't agree more.
I think I loved her in Inside Man.
Yeah.
Even though it was a very peripheral and supporting role.
Yeah.
She was fucking brilliant in it. She played the part perfectly.
Yeah.
I liked Nim's Island, which was a lost little kids movie.
Oh my gosh.
I
forgot about that.
Yeah, but she was great in that. She played an agoraphobic writer, and she was fucking great.
Yeah.
She's genius.
I loved her in The Accused.
She's fantastic in The Accused.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's one of those movies that seems to have become forgotten. That late 80s era movies, people don't pay attention. They only talk about, When Harry Met Sally.
Right.
And, you know what I mean? Those the cute pop movies have kept going, but the stuff that was really provocative or important have gotten lost in
she's
over
fantastic
time.
in that.
I
think that Lindsay Lohan did a better Freaky Friday than Jodie Foster did. I'm kidding, right? You do smell the sarcasm in on my breath, right?
I do, but I will say Lindsay Lohan is awesome in Mean Girls. I love
Mean Girls.
I love
Mean Girls is a great movie.
I do. I admit it. I love it.
Rachel McAdams.
And not because of hot young girls. I love that movie because it's
funny
genuinely funny. And who wrote it? Tina Fey.
I've got a You Go Glen Coco shirt at home. I swear to God, I do.
It's a great
You Go Glen Coco. It's like I like seeing a teacher outside of school. It's like watching a dog walk on its hind legs. It's a great fucking line. And Tina Fey wrote that line.
I just love the moment where it's so self-effacing where she pulls up her shirt and she goes, "Oh my God, you guys can see my bra, right?" Because she's taking her sweater off because she got water dumped on her.
Right.
And the fact that she just stands there and is not perfectly made up, just really, really self-facing. I love that kind of humor that says, "Yeah, I'm kind of a cluster.
Yep.
You're going to have to deal with me."
Yeah, and that's funny because Lindsay Lohan is a train wreck, but had real talent. She had real talent.
She has it, I think, somewhere in there. But she's trying so hard to get back to any form of legitimacy.
Right. Well, because she just took the easy train to, reality. Reality fame.
Yeah.
I'm a train wreck. Instead of getting better, I'll just capitalize on my train wreckery.
Yeah.
I'll shoot a reality show about how fucked up my life is.
But you never come back from that.
No.
I don't recall of anybody who's ever gone down. Actually, the only one that's come back from that is in this office.
Danny?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well, because he got clean and sober.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Good on you, Danny.
It's funny. He's pitching a TV show, and the lady who's the production company who's working with reached out to a few people here at the building about tell us about the station. If we were shooting the show, what should we not leave out? How's your relationship with Danny? How's Danny's relationship with the staff? And I was saying, Danny's like, people love him because we love a fixer-upper.
Right.
And everybody knows him from the train wreck that he was.
Right. We're talking about Danny Bonaduce, by the way.
Everybody knows Danny as the train wreck that he was. So when he is there for you every day on morning radio, that's what people he's there for us.
Yeah.
That's the bond they love. They love it. A guy. They all think he could just relapse any fucking second, and he could. And we all like that about him. But the fact that he doesn't, we like that too. So it's the best of both worlds.
He's one of the few quote unquote celebrities that I have ever contacted over the years, way before I met him, that I genuinely felt like I alone could save. I know this is crazy, but in the height of his downward spiral,
right,
his on air downward spiral, right, on Breaking Bonaduce. I remember going and he had some online presence on MySpace and a few other places because like everybody did. And I sent him a little private message just saying, if you just can't get away. If you can't get out of that, find a way to get up here, which is interesting because now he lives up here.
Yeah.
But find a way to come up here. I said, we'll go out to the Snoqualmie River. We'll freaking go on rope swings and we'll just hang out for a couple days. I'll pick up the tab, just get away from Hollywood, go hang out with a normal person who isn't a fan, that isn't going to stalk you, just sees you as a cluster and says you need help. You know what I mean? And he actually responded, which was really cool. He just wrote, "Hey, someday, you never know, man. You never know." Wow. And that was it. And then, whatever, 6 years.
Have you guys connected since we started doing this?
I have only seen him once here. Mm-hmm. And he was really cool about it. It was one of those days where you and I were getting ready to roll and we were a little late. I mean, I would have invited him in, honestly.
Yeah.
But, he doesn't know me.
Yeah.
I would love to have him.
I bet he doesn't realize that you wrote him that day.
No, I'm sure he doesn't.
Wow.
And he probably doesn't. Even if I told him the story, he probably wouldn't remember. Really? You think so?
I bet he would.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of shit cuts through.
Yeah, it's funny how that works. But yeah, I just remember thinking, I remember watching that particular episode, and I remember exactly where it was in the episode because it was a moment where Danny was outside of a club. He'd been kicked out because he was clearly on fire in his brain, and he was outside just heaving, and he was pissed, He wanted to just beat the crap out of somebody. And I remember thinking, okay, he's in roid rage. He's all this stuff that he was doing. He was clearly doing a lot of everything. You know what I mean? And I remember thinking, like, that poor guy. And I looked at my wife. We were both, because we were enamored with the show. We loved the show. We wanted their marriage to survive. And it didn't, as we both know. But I remember watching that, and I looked over at my wife, and I said, that guy just needs somebody who gives a crap about him, who isn't trying to be around him to either get something or to videotape him fucking up. Right. Somebody just needs to
They're
really,
also trying to get something out of him. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's funny because somehow in my brain I thought, hey, this one weird seemingly stalker type dude in Snoqualmie, Washington is going to make him sit up and pay attention. Hey, buddy, I love you. I got your back.
You know what's funny? I bet when the opportunity to come up here and work was presented to him, I bet you registered that day. I bet he thought about you that day.
Oh, I would love that. That seems far-fetched.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. It's that just a genuine, unattached offer.
But when I found out he was coming up here, there was a moment where I thought, I wonder. I really did.
How could you not? How could you not?
I would love to spend some time with him. He seems like a really nice guy, and he does clearly have his. At least on air, he has his head on his shoulders. When he was milling around the office the other day, he was nothing but cool with everybody he was talking to. Yeah. So it doesn't. I don't feel like he's got this weird star thing that walks around the room and precedes him. He's just a dude now.
No, that's me you're thinking of.
Yeah. But I wish you guys had a show together. I would love to hear you guys on a show together. You'd probably hate every second of it, but I would love to hear that because I think you guys are really different people.
We are.
Really, really different people.
It's funny, I'll tell you this, when I was off air and looking for anything to do, I said to my agent, why don't you see about getting me on with him? Now you're the same guy on air. You fill the same role on the show. It'll be redundant.
You're the talent, both of you.
Well, there's a driver, there's a color guy.
Right,
He's clearly the color guy.
Yeah, he is. He sits and waits for Sarah to finish and he chimes in.
Right.
But their show seems to be three people who are coloring constantly.
Yeah.
Maybe that's maybe a dangerous thing I shouldn't go down, but
it's not. Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah.
So back to movies. We were talking about Bound before, and I love that movie.
I adore that movie.
Really, really, really think. I think that's by far the Wachowski's best movie. I think it's better than The Matrix. I think it's better than anything they've done.
It's not just the soft core porn. Girl on girl love scenes.
The unrated version is awesome.
Yeah. Even the rated version is awesome. The unrated version is even better.
There's we're talking like I was like, where are her fingers?
Yeah.
Seriously, I was freaked out.
The best part of Bound is it's a great caper movie.
Yeah.
It's a great caper movie because it's an original story for a caper movie.
Yeah.
But it's just so beautifully shot. Mm-hmm. I keep using that reference. Mm-hmm. It's visually gorgeous, the movie Bound. Yeah,
that shootout, so to speak, sequence in the living room where the bullet goes
carpet.
off over Joey Pants, I call him, Joey's shoulder, and you see the picture splatter, and then what's his name gets shot. In the same sequence, when he shoots the boss,
the crime boss,
the crime boss, and then the way he falls back and the way the camera tracks with him,
it's brilliant.
Jeez, it's so good.
It is brilliant.
Yeah.
I love, and it's got a happy ending.
Yeah, surprisingly,
really does for a gangster heist movie,
and a really dark movie until the ending. I mean, it's really, really. Dark.
It's fucked up. It's a fucked up movie.
Yeah, it's really, really.
Yeah, anybody who hasn't seen Bound, man, give yourself 2 hours to enjoy this movie.
Yeah, that's the movie that deserves 2 or 3 viewings
Easily. I've seen it a handful of times easily.
Yeah. Well, what's really interesting is there's so back in the day.
That's Jennifer Tilly, not Meg.
It's Jennifer Tilly.
Jennifer Tilly.
Back in the 90s, when Laserdiscs were still a thing, I had a giant Laserdisc collection.
Okay.
And because I wanted to be the guy who had the stuff nobody else had, right?
Okay.
I totally wanted to be that guy.
Everybody had Raiders.
I mean, there's a period of time I had 2,000 Laserdiscs.
You're fucking kidding me.
So think about that. 2,000 times at least $70.
Oh, no.
Up to, I had sets that were $600 to $1,000.
I guarantee you, I've got 500 DVDs at home.
Yeah.
So I feel you.
Yeah. And so I was just like, I loved being the guy who
now,
had all
now I've got an
stuff.
Xfinity remote, and I say, Xfinity, and
That's so cool.
I don't have to walk downstairs
That
to
was
my
a great
DVD
ad,
collection.
by the way. Xfinity doesn't sponsor us, but definitely sponsors Spike Show. So Xfinity, good for you. Where was I
DVD
going
collection.
with this?
Your Laserdiscs.
So I had my Laserdisc collection, but on the bound Laserdisc, so I had the unrated, which was great about Laserdiscs. They had the unrated versions before everybody else.
Right.
And even though sometimes unrated versions might add 1 second in or something that is actually pointless to the movie, which is why it wasn't in the movie in the first place.
Right. But sometimes it's censors saying you can't have this unless you get rid of that.
And that was certainly the
That's
case
an
with
R-rated
Bound.
movie if you don't get this out. That's an X-rated movie if you don't get that out.
Because Bound is about lesbians who plot to basically get out of the mob as well as take the money from the mob. And so there's the inevitable, full on.
Yep, it's a chance meeting that saves a life.
Yeah, and and that is a seriously graphic, mind-blowingly graphic sex scene. And but I didn't get it for that. What I got it for was the audio commentary from the directors.
Really?
Oh, it's so great. I have it at home. I just don't have a Laserdisc playing anymore.
Wow.
And it's awesome. And this is before they became, because both men, most people don't know this. Most people think only one. But both Wachowski brothers have now become Wachowski sisters. Both of them. Yeah, I know your eyes are raised. It's true. So originally Larry, he left, and he became Lana. The other brother, I can't remember his name all of a sudden, but he became female. They both have had surgeries, sexual reassignment surgeries.
No shit.
They are both women now. Yeah.
Still working? Still making movies?
Yeah, but they that took such a lump out of that's kind of funny.
That's kind of ironic. Yeah.
It took a giant pile
of flesh.
A giant.
No disrespect intended to our friends in the LGBT communities.
No, but it did take a tremendous amount of time out of their lives because they had to, obviously literally go through the physical reassignment. You go through the hormonal issues. You go through the counseling, everything else.
Could they make the same movies?
Oh, gosh, no. But
why not? It's funny. Well, no, of course they couldn't. But
the answer is Well,
the mind is the same. The mind is the same, but the emotions are completely different for who they are.
Here's the point of this. I remember watching this, and they were talking how they went to. They were talking about the scene when Corky, the part played by Gina Gershon, is under the sink of the other girl. I can't remember her name, and she's changing the pipes.
Right.
And the way she's changing the pipes is intended to be highly sexual with the water flowing.
Yeah.
And the way she's like, you know what I mean. And they were talking about how they took this to a gay film festival in San Francisco, and at the time, I wasn't thinking about it, of course, from them becoming women eventually, or transgender, or whatever the term, I don't know what the right way to put it is. But I remember thinking, oh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, it makes sense. It's a movie about lesbians, so of course it would be played at a transgender. Right. But they kept talking about how hot the women were, but never, ever hot in the sense of, I wish I were in that scene so I could do that. They were talking about that scene as though they were women. And I never it didn't put, just you don't think about it.
Sure.
I didn't put two and two together until they became transgender. I'm like, oh my God, they were telling us 20 years ago, this is us.
Right. This is how we want to see.
This is how we want to, right.
This is how we see the world, how we want the world to see us.
Oh God, it's such a good movie. It's such a good movie. Everybody needs to see that. So do we have any other movies that press your buttons like Bound? Do we have something?
I got a wild, completely different movie. You ever seen Mystery Alaska?
I have the hockey movie.
The Rocky of Hockey.
The Rocky of Hockey, and it has what's his name from Australia in it? The Gladiator.
The other one. Yeah.
The Gladiator.
Not Mel
guy.
Gibson, but the other one.
Gladiator guy.
Yeah, Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe.
Yeah, and Hank Azaria.
Yeah.
And for the most part, and Mary McCormick, I think is her name. I always get this wrong.
We did this too.
I know. Did we do this too?
We did the same thing. The girl from Dances with Wolves.
Yeah. No.
That's Mary.
McDonald.
But that's Mary McDonald. But it's not Mary McCormick. It is. Is it?
One of them's Mary McDonald. One of them's Mary McCormick.
God, I hate this.
It's the one who's not in Dances with Wolves.
Well, that's Mary McDonald. I'm
going to look it up.
This is like a Kathy Bates. You know how Kathy is it? Who's the lady who was in Edward Scissorhands, who played the trashy, trampy wife? It's Kathy something.
Moriarty?
No. And then there's Kathy Bates, which was in Misery.
Yeah.
But crap. We're just on tangential radio now.
I think Mary McCormick is the one in Mystery Alaska.
Okay, I'm going to look it up.
She had a run on West Wing at the end of West Wings.
Was that Mary McCormick?
I believe so.
Okay.
And Mary McDonald is in Dance with Wolves.
Okay. We have absolutely.
Oh, and I got a tangent movie for you.
Okay.
Have we talked about Mystery Alaska before?
Mystery Alaska, we did talk about it. And
you ever talk about
problem.
Mumford?
I really like Mumford.
Right, because Mary McDonald, I want to say,
Yes.
unless I got them backwards, which I probably do.
It's Mary McCormick. You're right.
Okay.
Who's gorgeous, by the way.
Absolutely stunning.
Gosh.
Mary McDonald then is in Dance with Wolves, and she's also in Mumford.
Yes.
And if you guys haven't seen Mumford, that's a lost treasure.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Ted Danson is brilliant in Mumford in a supporting role. It's the kid, it's Brolin's kid. Josh Brolin, I think it is.
Yeah.
He plays a teenager in Mumford.
Yes.
And the daughter in Mumford went on to great things too. Who is that? Is that Zooey Deschanel, I'm thinking?
Yes, and whose father was actually a director and writer, and actually directed some episodes of Twin Peaks.
Really?
Caleb Deschanel.
Okay. And the lead actor in Mumford, I couldn't tell you his name. If you put a gun in my head, you'd have to shoot me. But Mumford's the story of a guy who comes to a small town and sets up shop as a psychiatrist in a small community. Except he's a total fraud.
I'm looking it up right now.
Except he's really
funny. We talk about how much we like the movie and we can't remember. We're just old. You know what the reality is? I'm not taking enough vitamin D.
Is that what it is? Is that what affects memory?
No, I believe it's B12.
B12's a memory one?
B6, B12.
Okay.
All I know is I'm not taking enough because I am a cluster anymore. Lauren Dean is Mumford.
The actor?
He's the actual character.
Lauren Dean? I couldn't tell you that. I never.
But I knew Jason Lee was in the movie.
I love Jason Lee.
I really like.
Yeah, love Jason Lee. So sad that he took the money for the Chipmunk movies.
Yes.
So sad.
My friend did the music for those movies.
Really?
Yeah.
I hope it paid well.
Danny DePrima. He's done them all. He's done them all.
So but he made Chipmunk songs. He made really Chipmunk records.
No.
He scored the movies.
He scored the movie.
He didn't do Chipmunk songs.
And he did all the music editing.
Okay.
And then he
there's some honor in that.
Yes, there is. And he does write. He's an incredible writer, a comedy music writer.
Really?
Yeah. He did a song. Oh my God! I wish I had it right now. I could cue it in right here. But it's called "Who Is My Bizatch," and it's just awesome.
Nice.
It's dirty and hilarious, and it is Mary McDonald. That is who you're thinking of, not Mary McDonald. Mary McDonald is who it is in Mumford.
And Dances with Wolves.
And Dances with Wolves.
Right.
So that's where the disconnect was happening for me. I'm like, it's not McDonald, but I couldn't remember.
McDonald.
And then I think of Mary McDonald. I think of Sneakers with Robert Redford.
Great flick.
Which then makes me want to ask you, have you seen the movie The Discovery yet?
I have not.
And I know you haven't, or you would
have
have talked about it.
I would have come raving about it.
Yeah.
although it's funny, we started watching something. Melissa was watching something. I was ready to go to bed. My wife said, "Night owl." She was watching something, and I don't know what it was, but people were jumping off a building. Jumping off.
The Happening?
Is that what it is? Where guys like there's a construction crew and a body just hits the sidewalk?
Yeah.
And then there's two more bodies just hit the sidewalk?
The Happening.
What is that
one
about?
One of the worst movies ever made.
So I made the right call going to bed.
Yeah. M. Night Shyamalan directed it.
Missed it.
Do you know who that is?
I do.
Okay.
So we could talk about him too.
He started out big.
Yeah, Sixth Sense.
Fell off
Genius.
the edge of the world after he did Unbreakable.
Yep. I liked Unbreakable,
I think
though.
Unbreakable is great. And
I love it.
Signs is a little less.
Signs was okay.
Right? But then
it was The Village,
then all
right?
of a sudden and see, here's the thing. I don't understand the hate for The Village. I really like The
I don't
Village.
think I ever saw it.
It has. So, do you know anything about it?
No.
Do you know the whole, the conceit of the movie? Okay, so it's about a whole bunch of people in, I don't know, 16th, 15th century America who are living still like, I don't know, you would have in Europe where like pilgrims live.
Sure,
right?
sure. I get it.
So it's a farm.
Yeah.
And they they have their cattle. And they
Colonial
have all
New
their
England,
pigs.
I get it, yeah,
Colonial New England,
yeah.
exactly. But in the evenings, there's a wild beast out in the forest that is killing people and animals. And so there's a genuine fear in the village that you shouldn't be going out there, right? And I can't really say anything more because then it gives away the whole point of the show, the movie. But I saw it coming 9 million miles from Sunday.
Did you?
And I said to my wife, "You watch, blah, blah, blah." But sure enough, it's exactly what happened. But truthfully, that made me like it all the more. I was like, well, check me out. Look at the big brain on Brad. You know what I mean?
Was Satan living in the woods?
I can't tell you because I would actually tell you should watch it.
I will.
You should actually watch it.
I didn't mind Signs.
I liked Signs.
I did
that.
too.
I actually even liked Lady in the Water, and most people hate it. They call it Bitch in a Pool.
I think I did see Lady in the Water too.
Because there were genuine moments of terror.
Yeah.
It wasn't well done.
Right.
And the payoff was weak.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as bad as they say.
Did he suffer from Sixth Sense being that great that nothing could compare?
Sure. Paul Thomas Anderson did the same thing.
Everything left you wanting after that. Everything wasn't as good.
Yeah. Paul Thomas Anderson did Hard Eight, which is a great indie movie. And then he did Boogie Nights. And everybody went, this is the greatest movie made by a young auteur in forever. Right? And then he did Magnolia, and everybody went, "What?"
What? I know, yeah.
I think Magnolia is one of the greatest movies ever made. But most people hate it.
It's too
long.
I didn't get it.
And it's preachy.
Yeah,
and
very.
And then the frog thing, people are like, I don't get that at all.
Cruise has moments.
Oh, I love Tom Cruise.
I love him. He's got moments.
Yeah.
I was going to say he's got moments that he's one of the greatest actors of all fucking time, bar none, and a wide variety of roles.
Yeah.
But there's times he's just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, but he's great in that movie.
He is. Yeah.
I mean, my wife and I quote him almost every day.
Wow.
From that movie.
From that movie, no shit.
Yeah, because there's a scene in the movie where he's being interviewed by a reporter who digs up real true dirt on him and says, "Well, actually, your name isn't blah blah blah. It's right." And he just sits back and he stops talking. And I don't know if you remember this, but he just stops talking. And she said, "You're really going to sit here for the next 35 minutes? You told me you were going to give me, an hour of your time." And he says, "Oh, there's still 35 minutes to go," or something. She goes, "So you're going to tell me you're going to sit here for 35 minutes and not say a word?" And he just stares at her. And then finally, after a really long time, she says, "What are you thinking?" He says, "I'm silently judging you." My wife to this day says it to me all the time.
That's awesome.
I'm in the kitchen doing something. She's really quiet. I look over. She goes, "I'm silently judging you."
What's the name of the Jamie Foxx movie he made?
Which one?
Cruise and Jamie Foxx. The cab driver, Collateral Damage.
Oh, Collateral, just Collateral, and that's a Michael Mann movie.
Yeah,
and that's another brilliant director.
Yeah,
he made Thief with James Caan in 1981.
Yep.
He made Heat, which is
phenomenal piece of work,
a top 10 movie of all time. Yeah. Collateral. He made Band of the Hand in 1985, which I saw 4 times in the theater.
of the Hand.
Yeah.
I saw Band of the Hand.
Yeah.
You bet, man.
It's one of those movies that nobody seems to remember.
Right.
And it's a great
movie.
Yeah. It's sort of a gang.
It's like the Warriors.
Yeah.
Of a next generation.
It's the Warriors with fluorescent spandex.
Yeah. In Miami. No shit.
Right?
That was weird as shit.
And then he did Miami Vice. Most people don't realize it's the same guy. So so he made Collateral, and Collateral has one of those samurai endings, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. It really does. Good call.
Yeah, I love that. So then you can go down the samurai road with The Last Samurai that Tom Cruise did.
Yeah. Did you like that?
I thought it was great.
Okay.
But mostly because I have a massive affinity for Japanese culture.
Yeah. I don't, so I thought it was self-indulgent on his part.
Okay.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have the taste for the genre you do. So.
Okay, so you and our audience knows I have a taste for the dark side in movies, and one of my favorite gory movies is a movie called Ichi the Killer. And I'm not a fan of gore movies. I'm not a fan of horror movies. I used to be when I was a kid, but I grew out of them.
Okay.
But I love I love Ichi the Killer because to me it does something I wish cinema would do. It dares to be different. It dares to introduce you to a highly potentially despicable character. Then it adds another element and brings in a more despicable character, but then somehow makes him likable.
Wow.
In a few key moments, and then you favor him. Right?
Cool. Yeah.
And so you find yourself in a place of rooting not only for the bad guy, right, the anti-hero, which is very commonplace in television today, like The Shield or something like that, but a truly abhorrent, despicable person who loves to torture people. I mean, and when I'm talking torture, we're talking boiling oil on their backs really slow. I mean, terrible cutting nipples off. Terrible things. And yet you find this character, there's moments that are so brilliant because they're so funny. There's a scene. So, no, I know you're literally almost ready to throw up. There's a scene in the movie. So, came out in 99, guys, 18 years is too bad. You're going to have to deal with it. There's a scene in the movie where if I just even describe it to you, you might get sick to your stomach. But he is, so the main character, not Ichi. Ichi is a sort of an ancillary character. He just happens to have the movie named after him. The main character is a true sadist and masochist. He loves to torture people and he loves to be tortured. Okay? And he finds that, in the Yakuza world, there's a lot of gangs. I mean, that's Japanese gangs, right? That's Japanese mafia. He finds a guy and tortures him for information by hanging him on meat hooks and then burning his back with oil, as I had just mentioned. Then he starts shoving needles through different parts of his body, including his nipples and his nose and his tongue and all this stuff. And the movie shows everything the whole time. And so you're literally just like, your toes are curled in, and you're looking through the faintest, tiniest spot. And then that scene ends, and the next part is him sitting in front of the Yakuza bosses, and they're demanding a payment for what he just did to one of their own, right? Because it was like a made man, right? He just tortured a made man, and that guy wasn't at fault. He just did it to F with the whole crew, right? And he said, well, what would you like me to offer? Because they usually cut pinkies off. This is something they really, truly do in the Yakuza world, okay? So movies show pinkies get cut off a lot, right, in those Japanese movies. Well, he offers up his tongue. And he's got a pierced tongue. So he grabs the piercing and just slowly saws it off. And they show the whole thing, and it goes on and on and on. And then he takes the tongue and he drops it into alcohol, and then he hands it over. But what they found a way to break the intensely terrible, gory sequence by showing everybody else around like getting woozy.
Yeah.
And so you got this guy over here who's throwing up. You got this guy over here who's just like going in circles.
Yeah.
And when he drops it off, he hands it forward and he bows. And it's basically the Japanese thing saying, please accept. I apologize. I humbly apologize. and then the phone rings, and he picks it up, and he goes, and it's hilarious because it goes right back to work.
Yeah.
He's blood pouring out of his mouth, and he's talking on the phone like it didn't even happen.
Yeah.
And I know I don't love what happened. I love what would it be, juxtaposition of extremely terrible thing happening and with this absurd, violent humor involved. And see, even though you haven't seen it, I know you'll never see it, and you don't need to see it because that will literally make you know, it is so freaking funny.
Ichi the Killer.
Ichi the Killer. It's so. I'll show you a screenshot. It'll be enough. Not even of that scene, but it just of the movie. Yeah. It's a cartoon. So basically, it's an anime movie. If you've heard the term anime, which are Japanese movies, right? They're very colorful, right?
It's anime.
No, but it's like a live action anime. It's like somebody took an anime and then they made it live action. But the colors are the same. The splashes of color are the same. The girls have blue hair and pink hair and green hair and orange hair. And do you know why in Japanese anime women have different colored hair?
No.
You can tell them apart.
Oh.
Because they all look the same.
They're exactly the same drawing. Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
That's true.
And people always wondered. I was like, well, there it is, right? So that's where the whole cosplay thing comes in.
What movie was it? An Ordinary Man or
A Simple Man?
No.
The Coen Brothers movie?
No. Well, I don't know. Clive Owen, his family's.
I've never seen that.
What's it called? It's not Ordinary Man.
It is. I think it is Ordinary Man.
Is it like a citizen or something like that?
Or it's no. Now you're going down. Sorry. Wow, this really sucks. This is like
our memory.
Terrible.
Yeah, what we do with this.
We are just. Well, it's because we're winging it. We have
folks at home.
We have no topic. We're just flying by the seat of our pants. So Clive Owen, awesome in
Average Citizen or something like that, or
I don't know. Just keep talking.
Okay.
He's married to Sarah Jane Fenton. Whoever that is.
Clive Owen plays a guy whose family is during a home invasion is tortured and killed in front of him, and the guy gets off. So he takes it upon himself to be a vigilante.
He's killed.
No.
Clive Owen's killed.
No. He's arrested.
Oh, he's the bad guy.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
No. His family is killed during a home invasion, and the guy who did it gets off. So he takes it upon himself to become a vigilante. And I don't want to give up too much of the movie.
I know of that, but I don't.
He's
remember.
He catches the friend. I'll give you this much. He catches the first guy, and he hands him a gun with like a blowfish poison in the handle, which paralyzes him. And then he pumps him up full of adrenaline and just cuts pieces off of him while he's wide awake and feeling everything. Oh, yeah.
Did you ever see Man on Fire?
Is that the Denzel?
Yes. When he cuts the guy's fingers off on the steering wheel?
Oh, yeah. That's fantastic.
Yeah. That's a great movie. I mean, I know we're talking about really terrible things here.
But it's a great movie.
The terrible, terrible scenes of violence.
Clive Owen IMDb.
But I was just looking. I didn't see what you were necessarily referring to, and yet I guess. I don't know.
I'll find the title for you.
So I'm a big fan of Japanese anime. I'm not a fan of everything Japanese, by the way, even though I am married to a Japanese woman.
I was going to say, I know a lot of stuff you like.
But do you like anime?
I love anime.
Okay, so
I
do you like what are the sort of the traditionals, like the big movies like Akira and Ninja Scroll and all that stuff, or do you like more of the cartoony type stuff? The more the safer
I know it through my kid.
Okay,
so I can't really tell you that I know good anime.
So have you seen Grave of the Fireflies?
I don't think I have.
Okay, so here's a movie I can get passionately behind. There are very few movies, and Roger Ebert agrees with me for what that's worth. There are very few movies in the anime genre that will stick with you for life. There are a few, certainly. But then there's Grave of the Fireflies, which is a radical departure pretty much from everything that came before it. And it was the idea of taking a very, very harrowing true story, or not say so much true story, a true general experience of Japanese people during World War II, and made an anime movie about it. So the movie was done in a very realistic fashion. And I had never seen it until maybe 2007. And I kept hearing about it, but it just, I don't know, it didn't look fantastic. It looked kind of boring, to be fair. I was afraid of it as well. And but for some reason I was at a Blockbuster back when Blockbusters existed, and I rented the DVD and brought it home. And my wife says, "What do you got?" And I said, "I have Grave of the Fireflies." And she goes, "Oh, I can't watch that." And I said, "Well, I don't know what it is, but I got to watch it. I got to check it out. I've heard too much about it over the years, meaning you got to see it. Don't want to tell you anything about it, but you got to see it."
Wow.
And I sat down and put it in. My wife sits down on the couch next to me. And the opening scene is a young man in a train station, homeless, by himself, trash blowing around everywhere, lays down on the ground and dies. This is the first, we're talking a young man, like 14, okay? Lays down and dies in the train station. And nobody helps him. Nobody picks him up. Nothing. So it's bleak right off the bat. Yeah. And then he takes, his hand opens up, and in it is a candy tin. Like a little, you shake the little candies out, like Tic Tacs, that sort of, right? Yeah. But it's a tin, because it's the 40s, right? This is supposed to represent post-World War II, okay? And the tin sort of falls out. Well, when the police come and take his body away, they pick up the garbage around the area, and they see the tin, and they take it, and they go outside, and they throw it, like literally, just throw it out into the woods, and then they turn around and go away, and then the credits roll. That's how it starts. And my wife cries immediately. She just starts crying. And I go, "What? Why are you crying?" And she goes, "Because I know what happens." And it was just too hard for her after having seen it. When you see, because now that I've seen the movie, so anybody who hasn't seen Grave of the Fireflies, I can't tell you anymore.
Okay.
You have to see it. It's an anti-war movie. It's about hope amidst the desolate and the lost in post World War II Japan, and it's about two children surviving against all odds after their family is killed in a firebomb attack in Tokyo. And it is an unbelievable movie, and it's heart-wrenching, and it's so beautiful, and it's such a statement. After I watched it, after I bawled for freaking like an hour after I watched it, I went online to read reviews because I'm weird like that, and I found Roger Ebert's review, and he said. I'm paraphrasing. Grave of the Fireflies might be the most important movie I've ever seen.
No shit.
Ever. And he said, by far, certainly probably the most important anti-war film ever made. And I agree with him 1,000%. It's a movie I do forget about because it's an anime. And a lot of people certainly don't give it any credence here in the States because we tend to look at anime as cartoons. We think of it as kids' stuff.
Yeah.
It is not. It's a powerful, relentless, and again, harrowing, I've said it a million times now, examination of what happens to a family that's torn apart by war.
Wow.
Now, to go on a happier note, even though it's kind of sad, have you seen Life is Beautiful?
Who is that?
The French comedian. Why can't we remember names?
I know, we're fucked today.
The French, you're tired, I'm tired. We're not on all cylinders. I can't talk.
The one
straight.
climbed over seats at the Oscars.
Yeah, that guy,
yeah.
Roberto Benigni.
Benigni, yeah.
So he plays a father of he's a husband and a father, and he's they are Jewish, so they're taken into. Have you seen that? Oh, they're taken. Oh God, it's so good. It's so good. It's so funny. So he got a lot of grief for trying to make a funny movie about the Holocaust. Right. And I understand why, but he was trying to show, and if you watch the movie, you can go like, oh, okay, I get it. Don't take it personally.
Right.
Watch the movie. Because there are moments that are so genuinely joy-filled, and there's so much love in it. I mean, it's just so beautiful. So the movie's called Life is Beautiful for a very great reason. And it's so hopeful and happy. And yet there's these moments that, again, because it's a a movie about the Holocaust,
Right.
that shocks of shocks happen that you were not prepared for, but ultimately highly beautiful. Like Schindler's List, it's redemptive.
Yeah.
Ultimately, at the end, things are okay. You know, you should see it. It's really.
I
good.
will.
It's really good. We're screwed. Today sucked.
No, we had moments.
You know, the funny thing is
What?
right now I'm paying for ads on Facebook so we can get some more juice, right? Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking, like, if this is the first one somebody hears, like, you guys suck. And then I got to go back.
Yeah.
Which one to go back to? Oh, the other one that sucks?
No. Are we that bad? Don't say that.
Or not.
I'm on thin ice confidence wise today.
No, don't be. You're awesome.
Oh,
People always
please.
say Spike is awesome. That Jones guy does some okay stuff too.
Fuck me. Fuck you. Fuck us both.
Oh, please.
I apologize. I'm a little scattered today. I'm not feeling
That's
well.
okay. I know. Well, I stepped over your chicken there earlier, so I'm sorry about that. But I hope you do feel better. And yeah, we'll just can it today. I mean, I'll post this, and
It'd be 8 minutes long.
All its beautiful, unedited bullshit.
No,
glory.
you won't. You'll clean
I
it
will.
up. Really?
No, I won't. Nope. Nope. I'm gonna
All right.
let them deal with it.
Here it is, people. Our apologies going in.
So, thanks, buddy.
Well, here's my promise to you, people.
I totally wanted to cut it right there.
Here's my promise to you.
Yeah, and that's it. And people are like, "What?"